So for the past 10 years, I have been living in West Hollywood, just up the street from Sunset Boulevard and the Sunset Strip area. And I live about 2 blocks up the street from the old Tower Record store, and maybe 4 blocks from the Whiskey Go-Go, which is back in 1989. The first big show I played in Los Angeles was with Robert Fripp and the League of Crafty Guitarists at the Whiskey Go-Go. And at that time I had no idea I would be living in that neighborhood. But and during the first years of the California Guitar Trio, a lot of the venues we played are in that area, including the Troubadour Club, and there's a club called the 8121 Club, which was our first gig in Bert. Do you want to tell the funny story about that? No?
So in the early 90s, when we just started with the California Guitar Trio, I lived there, and Paul and Hideo, I lived in Los Angeles, and Paul and Hideo would commute back and forth, both from Tokyo, Japan, and Paul from Salt Lake City. And we'd meet for longer periods of time in my house in Los Angeles, and we'd meet up to sometimes 2 or 3 months, and we'd be playing guitar all the time, playing concerts, etc. But in those days we did not have an agent or a manager, and it was my job to find what?
No internet.
And no internet, yes. So it was my job to find some gigs for us while we took breaks between, times that we met. And since we didn't have internet, my only resource in those days was the Yellow Pages. I would look in the Yellow Pages for any kind of place that looked like maybe it might work for us to play. Coffee shops, little places. We even ended up playing in homes for the elderly and homes for mentally disabled kids or autistic kids, and we had a lot of fun playing that gig for the autistic kids. They were so into it. They were moving around. They couldn't sit still. And the Blind Institute. We were regulars at the Blind Institute. Anyway, we offered our music as a service as well, and it helped us. It helped propel us forward. One day, I found us a gig in Yellow Pages in a club, and I made a promotion package, went and dropped it off, and then we got accepted to play the club gig. It was Club 8121. And that night, we excitedly showed up at the place, and the place was packed full with people, and there was a band playing before us. It was all standing room only. And the band stopped playing, and it was one of those concerts where we had to, a little bit like here, where we pack up our stuff, go, and then the next band starts playing pretty much right away. So the band before us stopped. We walk on stage, plug in our things real quick, and we turn around, and there was nobody. They all left. They were fans from the previous band, so we started playing for a totally empty hall. There was a bar in the back, just like here. It was a pretty big club. And there was one bartender, and we started playing, and I could tell the bartender really enjoyed it. And, during our second piece, I see him running out really fast, and 30 seconds he came back with another person. And it was the parking lot attendant. That night we made 2 great fans.
This is called Sunset Boulevard.